Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather here to protest and condemn the 72nd anniversary of establishment of the People's Republic of China. We're going to start off with playing American National Anthem followed by East Turkestan National Anthem. Turkestan National Anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gathered to protest and condemn the 72nd anniversary of establishment of People's Republic of China, also known as Communist China. 72 years ago, on October 1, 1949, the Chinese Communist Party came to power in China and established the so-called People's Republic of China, beginning of dark era for humanity that continues to this day. Shortly after establishment, the so-called People's Republic of China, the newly established Chinese Communist state, invaded and occupied East Turkestan, South Mongolia, Tibet on October 13, 1949. East Turkestan was invaded by People's Republic of China. And the independent East Turkestan Republic was overthrown on December 22, 1949. Many months later, the People's Republic of China also invaded and occupied Tibet. Under the yoke of China's Chinese regime, East Turkestan and its people have been subjected to colonization, systematic assimilation, genocide, and occupation for nearly 72 years. Since its invasion of East Turkestan on October 13, 1949, the People's Republic of China and Chinese Communists waged a series of campaigns to solidify Chinese occupation. The People's Republic of China first waged a colonial campaign targeting Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic people in East Turkestan as local nationalists. From 1950s to early 1990s, the PRC then waged a brutal campaign of colonization and oppression against East Turkestan and its people under the guise of fighting the so-called three evils beginning in the early 1990s. Following the September 11, the terror attack in 2001, China began to rebrand the campaign of colonization and genocide and occupation in East Turkestan as so-called fighting against terrorism, which continues to this very day. In the series of campaigns waged by Chinese occupation force led by CCP, hundreds of thousands of Uyghurs and other Turkic people were arrested, with the tens of thousands of receiving lengthy prison terms without proper legal procedures. Thousands of East Turkestanis were executed in East Turkestan. The PRC killed 750,000 Uyghurs and other Turkic people with 46 deliberate nuclear tests in East Turkestan from 1964 to 1996. Millions of Uyghurs and other Turkic people developed cancer and other diseases as a result of nuclear radiation. In addition, Chinese state led by CCP killed over 3.7 million Uyghurs and other Turkic babies from 1979 to 2009 through the genocidal policy of forced abortion. Since 2014, the Chinese government, led by Chinese Communist Party, has locked up anywhere from 3.5 million to some 8 million Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic people in concentration camps. Since 2014, 850,000 Uyghurs and other Turkic children have been forcibly separated from their families and sent to Chinese state-run boarding school and orphanages to become indoctrinated as loyal communist citizens. Hundreds of thousands of Uyghur and other Turkic women have been forcibly sterilized by Chinese occupation and tens of thousands have been subjected to mass rape by Chinese occupation forces. China, led by Chinese CCP party, seeks to eradicate the very existence of Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples in East Turkestan. Chinese colonization, genocide, occupation policy in East Turkestan seeks to prevent at least 4.5 million Uyghurs birth in next 20 years. Within 50 years, China aims to eradicate the majority of Uyghurs in East Turkestan and make Uyghurs minority in their own land. The People's Republic of China, led by CCP, threatens the world with enacting rule. Over the past 72 years, China's government, led by Chinese Communist Party, has been engaging in brutal colonization, genocide, occupation campaigns in East Turkestan, South Mongolia, and Tibet. In recent decades, China and its Communist Party have been threatening democracy, freedom, human rights in Hong Kong, the Indo-Pacific, and the worldwide. China, led by CCP, has also been undermining, directly threatening the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and security of countries in Indo-Pacific. China, led by CCP, also been using its so-called Belt and Road Initiative to expand its economical, political, military influence in Central Asia, the Asia Pacific, the Middle East, Africa, and even into Europe and South America in order to achieve global hegemony. The world must unite to defeat the People's Republic of China empire by the Chinese Communist Party. The world must act to end Chinese, not to simply for the sake of East Turkestan and its people, but also welfare of future of humanity. The tragedy that East Turkestan and its people face must be a chilling reminder for the world that collaborating with murderous regime will ultimately be suicidal. We witnessed this during the Second World War, that had Hitler and Nazi Germany not been stopped, the Nazi could have been only overrun the entire world, and we would see a different, far darker world today. If the Chinese Empire, led by CCP, is not stopped today, like Nazi Empire, it will bring further death and destruction to humanity than it already has. China's ongoing genocide in East Turkestan aims to end the East Turkestan national issue once and for all through a well-calculated, deliberate campaign of mass incarceration of millions of Uyghurs and other Turkic people. In the campaign, China aims to achieve the goal, much like Nazi, through the systematic campaign of brainwashing, forced labor, humiliation through the torture, and the forced mass sterilization, rape of Uyghur women, both inside and outside of camps. The goal is to reinforce with the industrial organ, harvesting the orphanization of hundreds of thousands of Uyghur children, forcibly separated from their parents and assimilated into Chinese culture. The systematic prevention and reduction of Uyghur population growth, as well as other means for the eradication of East Turkestan national identity and the ethnic identity of Uyghurs. Currently, at this very moment, China, led by Chinese Communist Party, is still aggressively continuing its campaign of colonization, genocide, and occupation in East Turkestan, thereby putting the very existence of Uyghurs at significant risk. If there is no meaningful and robust international action taken to stop the most significant humanitarian, moral, and political crisis of 21st century. In that, out from the face of the world, not stopping East Turkestan, China, led by the Chinese Communist Party, will replicate its colonization, genocide, and occupation in other parts of the world, mainly Central Asia, the Indo-Pacific, and Africa. The international community, including governments, NGOs, and business sectors, has failed to unify against China's genocide in East Turkestan and is emboldened in the presence of international community's silence to pursue its genocidal practices further down the track, continue with the rabid expansionist aggression. So as the people of East Turkestan, along with all the victims of People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communists, here and around the world, we call upon the U.S. government and its allies in the free world to take the lead to end China's prolonged campaign of colonization, genocide in East Turkestan, South Mongolia, and Tibet. We call on U.S. government to lead the world to stop People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party attack on democracy, freedom, human rights, not only in Hong Kong, but throughout the whole world, including the United States as well. We call upon international community, we call upon international corporations to cease their business activities with the genocidal and imperialistic People's Republic of China. We call on the world to unite against Chinese hegemony and act immediately to save humanity. Now I would like to call Amanisa, the woman director, to give a speech.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Today I would like to remind everyone about Uyghur women and kids strategy in East Turkestan. Since China occupied East Turkestan in 1949, my people have been facing genocide. More than 3.5 million Uyghur babies have been brutally murdered through abortion, while the genocidal abortion of Uyghur and other Turkic infants has been carried out. Women from the East Turkestan have been facing both physical and psychological suffering as the result of China's policy of genocide. Today, millions of women are locked up in concentration camps and prisons. Throughout of East Turkestan, they are subjected to rape, forced marriage, abortion, and sterilization. Mothers have been separated from their children. Over 850,000 Uyghurs children have been separated from their parents. China has also been selling young Uyghur girls for human trafficking. Every day, China is destroying the future of my nation. And it didn't happen 2 or 3 years ago. It's been happening since China occupied East Turkestan. I'm calling every woman across the world, every organization, to get up and support Uyghur women, to speak up about this 21st century Uyghur genocide, about the biggest strategy of 35 million people. I'm asking everyone for help because first it's about humanity. Each of us have families, mothers, sisters, wives, children. So can you imagine how being separated from your kids or being abused by some random man would feel like? Uyghur women are not different from us. They want best for their families. Who is China to deprive the Uyghur of their right of freedom and happy life? We want our independence back. We want our homeland back. East Turkestan was never part of China. destroying our nation and stealing the lives of young Uyghurs. I'm calling everyone to break the silence. Women are the key to the growing nation. We carry out the growth of the nation. We all should have a right to live in freedom. We should all have the same rights to protect the future of our children. The Uyghurs are just the same as all of you. They are no different. They are human. What China is doing right now to the Uyghur and other Turkic people in East Turkestan is genocide. And their goal is to wipe out my entire nation. Thank you.
We're gonna face the White House and do some chants. Act now, America! Act now, America! End Chinese hegemony! End the Chinese hegemony! Save East Turkestan! Save East Turkestan! Save Tibet! Save Tibet! Save South Mongolia! Save South Mongolia! Save Hong Kong! Save Hong Kong! Act now, America! Act now, America! Act to free East Turkestan! Act to free East Turkestan! Act to end the Uyghurs genocide! Act to end the Uyghurs genocide! Terrorist China! Terrorist China! Fascist China! Fascist China! Nazi China! Nazi China! China, stop the genocide! China, stop the genocide! China end the occupation! China end the occupation! 72 years is enough! 72 years is enough! Go home, China! Go home, China! China, get out of East Turkestan! China, get out of East Turkestan! Down with the PRC empire! Down with the PRC empire! Down with the CCP regime! Down with the CCP regime! Down with the Chinese expansionism! Down with the Chinese expansionism! We want freedom! We want freedom! Freedom for Uyghurs! Freedom for Uyghurs!
Freedom for Uyghurs!
Freedom for humanity! Freedom for humanity! We want independence! We want independence! Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Save East Turkestan!
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 Save Tibet!
Save Tibet!
Save Tibet!
Save Tibet!
Save South Mongolia!
Save South Mongolia!
Save South Mongolia!
Save South Mongolia!
Save Hong Kong!
Save Hong Kong!
Save Hong Kong!
Save Hong Kong!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Act now, America!
Act to free East Turkestan!
Act to free East Turkestan!
Act to free East Turkestan!
Act to free Turkestan!
Act to end the Uyghur genocide!
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 Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Nazi China!
Nazi China!
Nazi China!
Fascist China!
China stop the genocide!
China stop the genocide!
China stop the genocide!
China stop the genocide!
China and the occupation!
China and the occupation!
China and the occupation!
China and the occupation!
72 years is enough! 72 years is enough!
72 years is enough!
Go home, China!
Go home, China!
Go home, China!
Go home, China!
China, get out of East Turkestan!
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 Down with the PRC empire!
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 Down with the CCP regime!
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 We want freedom!
We want freedom!
We want freedom! Freedom for Uyghurs!
Freedom for Uyghurs!
Freedom
Freedom
for Uyghurs!
for Uyghurs!
Freedom for humanity!
Freedom for humanity!
Freedom for humanity!
Freedom for humanity!
We want independence!
We want independence!
We want independence!
We want independence!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Boycott Beijing Olympics!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Recognize East Turkestan!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Nazi China!
Fascist China!
Nazi China!
Fascist China!
72 years is enough.
72 years is enough.
72 years is enough.
72 years is enough.
Go home, China.
Go home, China.
Go home, China.
Go home, China.
China, get out of East Turkestan.
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 We want freedom.
We want freedom.
We want freedom.
We want freedom.
Freedom for Uyghurs.
Freedom for Uyghurs.
Freedom for Uyghurs.
Freedom for Uyghurs.
Freedom for humanity.
Freedom for humanity.
Freedom for humanity.
Freedom for humanity.
We want independence.
We want independence.
We want independence.
We want independence.
Independence for East Turkestan.
Independence for East Turkestan.
Independence for East Turkestan.
Independence for East Turkestan.
Boycott China.
Boycott China.
Boycott China.
Boycott China.
Boycott Beijing Olympics.
Boycott Beijing Olympics.
Boycott Beijing Olympics.
Boycott Beijing Olympics.
Recognize East Turkestan.
Recognize East Turkestan.
Recognize East Turkestan.
Recognize East Turkestan.
Terrorist China.
Terrorist China.
Terrorist China.
Terrorist China.
Fascist China.
Fascist China.
Fascist China.
Fascist China.
Nazi China.
Fascist China.
Nazi China.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You just have to push over to the car.
Hey guys.